everybody. Welcome to Memoir Church. I'm so glad you're here. Very excited to see you all. It's a wonderful day in the neighborhood of Zoom. I'm very excited to have these 8 writers with me today. They're just amazing people who I've worked with, and I've read their work, and I know them, many of them, as human beings, and they're wonderful. Many of them are published or about to be published, and they're doing good work in the world. And for those of you who are just here for the first time, my name is Suze Allen. I started Memoir Church. We're the first Sunday of every month. And every other month, we do this Memoir Church Writers Resistance. It's my way of pulling writers together in a space to speak to what's going on in our world today, in our country, and how we're living with it and what we're doing about it and how we hold hope and how we make our way. And so every other month we do that. And in the other months, we have wonderful memoir writers reading from their work, which is also also quite wonderful. And I would just like to say that we need stories. We need to share our stories. We need to know how each other gets up in the morning, puts one foot in front of the other, and makes life have meaning and purpose. And that's what this is all about, Memoir Church and writing. And if you have any interest in writing your memoir or writing some of the stories of your life, I would love for you to come to a class. So shameless self-promotion. So I'll be putting things in the chat as we go. We have an action-packed, beautiful, lovely evening prepared for you, a 1 hour. And so I would like to start by going first. And I'm going to put a couple of quotes in the room. This is precisely the time when artists go to work. There is no time for despair, no place for self-pity, no need for silence, no room for fear. We speak, we write, we do language. That is how civilizations heal. Toni Morrison. Ursula K. Le Guin, hard times are coming when we'll be wanting the voices of writers who can see alternatives to how we live now, can see through our fear-stricken society and its obsessive technologies to other ways of being, and even imagine real grounds for hope. We'll need writers who can remember freedom, poets, visionaries, realists of a larger reality. So today, as we celebrate Day of the Dead, some of us, I want to honor the memory of our beloveds who understood what an authoritarian government meant and how cruel and without empathy it could be and was. Many of our parents and friends fought for peace and democracy and endured terrible suffering and survived and continue to live their lives bringing beauty and healing into the world to fight for truth, kindness, love, justice, and equality. I'd love to have their names said in the room. So if you have somebody that you would like to honor today, put their name in the chat and I will read that as well. I'd like to honor my dad, Cedric Allen, my father-in-law, Anthony Bellino, my friend Lee Brady and her husband, Charles, Nal Putnam, Aristides Stathopoulos, Nahama Tech, Leon Tech, John Newmandor. And if you have any other people that you would like to have in the room, please, 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 please put their name in the chat and we can have them be in the room. So along those lines, I just want to say, sorry, I'm letting some people in. The undoing of social programs, the rule of law, and the rise of hatred and racism and misogyny, the elevation of greed in the face of others' hardships, and the complete disregard for the health of the planet and for the basic necessities of human life runs rampant in our country now. We are all affected by it. Women, immigrants, the poor, the mentally ill, people of color, LGBTQ+. No one is immune. After the 2024 presidential election, my beloved 95-year-old friend, Lee, rest her soul, sat on a bench at a very crowded Mary Cassatt exhibit at the Palace of the Legion of Honor. She was crying. We were stunned at the results of the election and nearly canceled our field trip. But we came because we needed to be together. And we hope that seeing art by a female artist who painted women, second-class citizens then and second-class citizens again now, with their children, taking care of their families. We thought that might be a kind of a balm for our frayed nervous systems, our broken hearts and heavy souls. Tears in my own eyes, I sat next to Lee as she squeezed my arm tightly and wept. As the people swirled around us, she spoke, her voice choked with emotion. Suze, look at all these people. They didn't vote for him. They are here because, well, like us, they believe in the power of art and beauty, the importance of being together and taking it in. We'll get through this. We will. And she kept patting my hand. And I would say to all of you today that hope is a verb and it's an action. And I just thank you all for being here, for the beautiful words that you're about to hear. We're going to start with someone near and dear to me, my best friend in life, Lisa Stathopoulos.
It's a poem. I'm dedicating this poem to all the people in Maine on Tuesday who are going to vote yes for a red flag law. And I'm dedicating it also to all the people who are going to vote no. Unpacked. Unpacking heat today. Though you may frisk me, you'll find no weapon. Yet do not doubt my molten core, nor the reinforced rebar of my steely spine. A hot mess of magma rises from my broken heart, oozing up through the cracked crevasse that is my soul undone. The rift, revealing rivers of blistering, roiling resolve, guaranteed to gush geysers of long-pent tolerance, morphed pain, latent lava lament, spews as hot rage over the barren desert of long inaction. Volcanic igneous intent forms a harsh but shiny new landscape, luminous with longing for justice, for change. The pressure purged, though it took 1 billion years, my carbon, my world, your world, poised for renewal, diamond doer, now and forever.
Thank you, Lisa. Beautiful. I would like to add some names in the room right now. Thank you for putting them in the chat. Let's see, I'm going to put myself in there. Here we go. Catherine Mosley, my grandmother, August Vanderbeek, Con Ringo Hallinan, Bradford Biggs, William Clark, Lee Strimbeck, Ada Tall, Alvin Epstein, Augie Rubin, John R. Tilley. And I'd like to honor the memory of my father, Knox Berger, who fought in the World War II in the Pacific. He died aged 88. His 102nd birthday was yesterday. And his father, Carl Berger, who served in World War II in France. And that's from Catherine Berger. So next up, thank you. We honor them and we honor you for being here. We have, it looks like his name is Pascal, but it's actually Dewey Davis Thompson, and he will be next. Here you go.
I'm sad to declare time of death for New College and the USA. A school with the motto, in the final analysis, each student is responsible for their own education, and land of the free. Both experiments have been overthrown from within. I know, because I saw it all on my Reddit feed. Sarasota Tribune, a dumpster overflowing with books. New College Gender Studies program. Student body overflowing with dumb jocks. I was an anthro major in '87, one of those genders that was highly studied, and there were 0 jocks. No prereqs like 2 math, no grades, just pass, fail. 4 years of you and an advisor choosing courses and doing one-on-one tutorials, all for a thesis on Danish West Indian oral history. Graduate level work. I didn't read about Mead and Darwin. I read Mead and Darwin. My roommates and lovers were all deep into Colombian literature or chemistry of mushrooms or whatever, all together in class and at night, a real democracy of thought. Oh, New York Times, White House rubble and icicles on blue streets chasing different people. Well, I'm an American and very different, so this is home too. The erection of Charlie Kirk, a statue on campus, and his erection as a national facsimile proves it. Both are dead. They're spirits to renew in future forms. It's not institutions that embody ideas, but rather ideas that illuminate institutions. New College was going to be named for a big donor, never materialized. When I was there, it was part of the state system, the Florida Honors College, now under the thumb of our Governor DeSantis. Won't be called New College for long. Kirk College, anyone? How ironic this dropout's book, The College Scam, called Educational Waste and just North African lesbian poetry. Well, not only. New York Times clocked him for inaccurate statistics, unprovable assertions, stereotypes, emotional buttons, and rapid-fire data merely connotative of intelligence. A national facsimile, just like the new college and the new Republic. YouTube, a politician says that what's happening at New College is a microcosm of what's happening in the US. Yeah, I just said that. It's the front line in the war on woke. Woke, though, is really paying attention to democracy and equality, especially race, gender, and LGBTQ on rights. A war on woke is a war on democracy. So I expect to see a dumpster full of my anthropology program books and some hurricane-devastated Red Street, beset by another group being disappeared by the ICEs. Ironic this ignoramus is famous and nobody knows Smedley Butler, an actual American hero. In 1945, the most decorated Marine general. Today, he's completely unfamous for revealing the business plot, a fascist coup attempt on FDR by the DuPonts, Remington Rand, and Grandpa Bush, etc. Their plot was backed by 500,000 veterans to be led by Butler. Instead, Butler led the plotters along and blabbed to Congress. The Senate found a lot of truth, but the papers said rubbish, and they swept all memory of who's-its into the bin of suppressed history. Poor Smedley. Thanks, Smedley. When some hacker left digital flatulence in my HTML, I knew although my things might be messed with, who I am inside remains. You can fuck with my socials, but my spirit will last so long as someone hears one of my songs or stories. And because the world was made better by me, waves of repercussions are waiting to renew. Smedley didn't blame the veterans amassed against FDR. I understand the ignorance and fear today. The manipulations pulling their strings are finely honed and well-funded. They flood my socials with hypocrisy and falsely objective analysis, so closely resembling truth. I fear those who did not go to New College or grow up in a functioning democracy might not recognize the ruse. So, RIP New College, RIP USA, and yes, RIP Chuck. One day, we'll all be dead pixels in history's dustbin. But the spirits of critical thought and unorthodox choices will remain. Light and liberty are forever renewed for future institutions and ever ready for those who seek illumination.
Thank you, Dewey. Whew, RIP New College. Wow. Next up, Roland Tech, and I just want to add another name into the room, and that's Juliet Stathopoulos, mom to Lisa and to Karen. Okay, Roland, take it away.
There are now leaders in our country who would like whole groups of people to disappear. Disappearing by one of three means: leaving the country, falling into detention centers where they may never be heard from again, or receding from public life, effectively going into a kind of hiding. I find this particularly intolerable because of my family's history. I think I was 9 or 10 when I first learned that my mom had survived the Holocaust. To an American child growing up in the 1970s, it required great leaps of imagination to conjure a place where people had actually had to disappear in order to survive. Mom had been 9 years old when the Germans invaded Poland. She and her sister survived the war by assuming false identities, passing as Polish Catholics, harbored by two families who agreed to take them in, telling neighbors that the girls were cousins from another part of the country recently orphaned by the war. Such arrangements were extremely risky because should the true identities of hidden Jews be discovered, the penalty was death for all involved. Jews committing the crime of assuming false Polish identities and the Poles who aided them. The Germans were very serious about the practice of collective responsibility. This family history started spilling out when Mom started writing Dry Tears, her wartime memoir. And so it was around that time that I first became aware of hiding as a means of survival. And it may not be a coincidence that it was in 4th grade that I first got an inkling that hiding might also be useful for my own survival as a boy growing up in suburban Connecticut in the 1970s. The first school teacher who took a keen interest in me was my 4th grade teacher, Ms. Danielson, who dressed more like Nancy Sinatra than an elementary school teacher and did things her own way. She seemed to notice us and accept us as we were, and so her classroom was a kind of oasis. Unlike most teachers who stood at the edge of the yard during recess, taking the opportunity to smoke, refill on caffeine, catch up on faculty gossip, or all three, Ms. Danielson took an active interest in how we organized our playtime. She noticed stuff that most teachers couldn't be bothered to. One day at the end of recess, as we filed our way back inside the classroom, we ran right into a shocking rearrangement of furniture. All our desks, ordinarily lined up in neat rows facing the blackboard, were suddenly spread out into one gigantic circle. Ms. Danielson was already seated in her chair, which she had placed strategically within the circle, but still decidedly at the head of the class. Find your desks, we're having a meeting. Everyone, please take a seat in the circle. We need to untangle this war that has erupted on the playground. There had been almost a solid month of sullen coolness, underhanded cruelties, with every girl in class refusing to enjoy recess as a result of some fiercely held grievances. Two factions coalesced around two of the most popular girls in class. Susie had said or done something offensive to Veronica, and nobody had been allowed to remain neutral. It was hard to get anyone to open up about this conflict. Everyone seemed to fear getting on one of these girls' bad sides. But Ms. Danielson was determined to get to the bottom of it, no matter how long we had to sit in a circle staring at each other. After enduring 20 minutes of beating around the bush, I grew impatient. Finally, I raised my hand. Roland, you have something to add? Yeah, so here's what I think happened. And then I broke down what I perceived to have been the original cause of the misunderstanding and several unintended missteps in trying to work it out. To me, it seemed utterly fixable and regrettable. I was feeling quite pleased with myself for having distilled the core conflict. And when the two girls at the heart of this war, Veronica and Susie, both showed signs of softening, one of them even laughing a little, I felt gratified, as though I had made a difference. It seemed even possible that the war might come to an end.
Mhm.
But then one of the boys raised his hand high. He did it slowly, with the cool confidence of a gangster. Joey, Miss Danielson asked, you have something to add? Joey paused, glanced around the circle, but did not make eye contact with me. I'm just wondering, how come whenever the girls get into some kind of a fight, the only boy who knows anything about it is Roland? Laughter spilled out, mostly among the boys. I felt my body instantly flood with shame, because even at age 9, before it would begin to dawn on me all the ways that I was not like most of the boys at school, here was evidence of my otherness on display for all to see. If one of the popular jock boys pointing to it elicited conspiratorial snickering, well then, I had better watch out. That marked the slow dawning of an inkling that there were parts of me that would best remain hidden if I wanted to be safe. Mom's wartime experience taught me that sometimes a person might completely erase a part of themselves in order to survive. And so I taught myself how to vanish as needed. 5 decades later, I still struggle to convince myself that I can be safe being seen completely as I am. But honestly, who can blame me when so many of our so-called leaders wish to remake America into a place where safety is less and less a universal right and more a special privilege reserved for a chosen few?
Thank you, Roland.
Oh,
Beautiful.
Thank
thank
you.
you.
Gorgeous. Thank you so much. Oh, and next up we have Lee Kitchen. Lee, take it away.
Living in America. 7 million parade across America. Republicans dismissed it as Mardi Gras, harmless Marxism. The late singer-songwriter Harry Chapin said, during the 60s protest marches, I don't think we accomplished much, but at least we were with the good people. The late Peter Glenn, flamboyant guru of retailing, screamed, we're a nation of whiners. We're served lousy food in a restaurant, and instead of refusing to pay for it, we sit in our car and whine, that was a terrible meal. Political vocabulary includes military jargon, campaigns, battle, victory, hawks, and doves. That vocabulary extends into sports. Down the stretch, goal, victory, full court press, going to the wire. Sound familiar? Republicans won the state of whatever. Democrats lost, didn't reach the playoffs. Doesn't matter if the swing stakes were only 7, it was a loss. Popular headlines, football coaches fired in mid-season because they didn't make the playoffs. The governor of Louisiana said he was firing the athletic director of LSU and wanted Donald Trump to pick the next coach. FYI, the athletic director picks a new coach. The new coach selects the best players and assistants who know how to scout the competition. The Republicans came to play with an experienced team, a hell of a scouting effort, an experienced quarterback who is tough, vocal, and aggressive. Democrats need a better AD, a seasoned coach, a talented quarterback. If that doesn't put a bee in your bonnet, well, let's try marketing. Procter & Gamble, worldwide consumer products leader, invented marketing. P&G defines it as, quote, process of creating, communicating, delivering, and exchanging offerings that have value for customers. Remember the 3 words, value for customers. Their process, quote, involves activities like market research to understand customer needs, end quote. The Republicans' research used customer value words like destroying America, economic uncertainty, government overreach, domestic threats, parenthetically, illegal aliens, close parentheses, freedom of choice. They painted the competition, although erroneous, as communists who will nationalize your choices. Meanwhile, the Democrats focus on the loss of democracy. Ask the average American what democracy means. AI will inform them, quote, a system of government by the whole population or all the eligible members of a state, typically through elected representatives. In several of the marches, people carried whining signs, while others continue to whine on social media. So drop the signs, the online posts, and do something. 1, send a FedEx letter to your senator and representative. Tell them in all caps, you're fired. State they don't know how to weave through the maze called Congress, the art of diplomacy. Accuse them of allowing people to go hungry. Tell them you're searching the portal for someone who can float like a butterfly and sting like a bee. 2, insist on seasoned marketing researchers for homework. Find out what the target audience believes. That's marketing 101. Find out perceptions and needs. No focus groups, quantitative research only. No, not the red hats with MK-47s, the others, the black males, the doctors, the lawyers, the farmers, young people, and factory workers in those 7 states. Once you have the research, it'll dictate the strategy. 3, take a play from the Republicans' playbook. Scout advertisers supporting news organizations, programs, and businesses heavily supporting the competition. Share it on a newly created pipeline. Boycott those products and services. Dr. King did it successfully. If only the people who marched participated, then the advertisers will abandon because profits will tank. You may criticize my suggestions as forgetting the fringe, ignoring those marginalized, not being inclusive. But a coach who only wants to please the players with a variety of skill sets, but not necessarily capable of providing customer value, well, he or she should just throw their hands up and concentrate on the halftime show. You know, the parade.
Thank you, Lee. That was so good. Going to the other Lee in the room, Lee Strimbeck.
I don't like being out nights unless I'm in a show. I'm an actor, and the last show I did, I had to bend my circadian rhythms like the proverbial mind-controlled spoon so I could stay awake past 9 p.m. But it's Wednesday night, time to go to one of the best gigs I've ever had. I head to the Hudson, New York Library, formerly an armory built in 1878. The Office of the Literacy Volunteers of Hudson Valley is in the basement of the library, and we teach on the 2nd floor. The room we're in is in one tower of the library with many old windows and folding tables. Our students work, among other things, in lumber yards, as nannies, managing small businesses, and at the local hospital. We have students from Ecuador, Venezuela, Mexico, Colombia, Haiti, and Bangladesh, which means first languages include Spanish, Bangla, Portuguese, and French. We keep the class moving and aim to teach it in more than one modality, visually, orally, kinetically. We don't always know what will inspire the students, so we try different things. I've brought in Mad Libs. Vicky brings in food and uses it as a discussion point while we snack. Therese had us all reading a short story by a Mexican writer, and Serene just did a lesson on Halloween. I bring in art books with works from Goya, Winslow Homer, Manet, and Emmanuel Lutz. Lutz not as well known perhaps, but he did paint the famous Washington crossing the Delaware, and I wanted that in the mix. First, I tell each student to spend time looking at their painting in the book and not showing it to the other students. And then they describe it to each other verbally with as much description as they can. Next, they write the description again, going for descriptive language, And then finally we show each other the paintings. Here is the Monet painting of a man and a woman on a boardwalk. She's looking straight ahead, holding flowers in her lap. Are her lips pursed, or is that a little smile? He is holding her parasol and gazing at her. We go back and forth on whether the woman and the man were happy to be together. Interpretations differed and laughter rolls around the room. Melisa says, "She doesn't like him. She is not looking at him." And Luigi says confidently, "She smiles a little bit." The Whistler painting, The Undertow, brings up more questions. Are the three men saving the woman from drowning? Why is the one man looking away and covering his eyes? Is the woman already dead? Luigi uses one word to describe Washington astride the boat. Powerful. And then after a beat, he is ready to fight. Luigi is from Ecuador and has an engineering degree. He works full-time on a lumber yard with no health insurance, and he has a bad back. "Every machine in the place where I work could kill you," he remarked one night when we were teaching workers' rights. When we tell the people in the class that if they have an injury on the job, they should report it to their manager, the room goes very quiet. What we are suggesting is not possible for most of them. Luigi is our top student, a former teacher and a natural leader. His skills are such that he could go to college now, but can't afford it, and I think he might be undocumented. We don't ask. I taught the short story The Lottery by Shirley Jackson to him and to Saeed, a former journalist from Bangladesh. Saeed came late that class, and we summarized the story for him and folded him into the lesson. I offered Saeed a copy to read on his own, and he said, "No, I don't read dark things. I have seen enough. One time a building collapsed and 1,000 people died. I was the first journalist there. I saw terrible things, body parts, suffering. I still see it." And Luigi became still before he said, "Yes, my friend was shot in the head in front of me. 3 times he was shot. His head bounced on the pavement each time." And so I learned that night from them to be thoughtful of the material I bring in. Every night is different. One night, the light in our classroom grew oranger and warmer as the sun prepared her exit. We left our seats and crowded around the window facing west to see the rooftops glow, the light like a Hudson River school painting. Then, before the sun was gone, a brief rainstorm soaked the area and windows on the east side framed a fat double rainbow. We left our seats again and together stood delighted with the view, reaching for words to do it justice. Another night, it was too hot to teach. Instead of class, we all walked together to get ice cream. As other students and tutors walked back to the library, chatting in 2s and 3s, Luigi and I fell in step. So engrossed in our conversation, we missed the library by a few blocks. We talked about politics, abortion, and the state of the country. Luigi believes in the United States fiercely, more than most Americans I talk to. He sees all possibility here. He declared to me that there is no hunger here, which surprised me, and I was poised to argue. But right then we walked by a refrigerator on the street filled with food for the taking. "Is this what you mean?" I said. "Yes," he replied. We talked about the ice raids, which were just beginning to ramp up. I disparaged the ice gangs and the masks and the big guns. He seemed undaunted. "If they take me, they take me," he said. "Just please don't send me back to Ecuador." "Why not?" I asked. "Because there is no place for me to go. The gangs took my family's house. They have taken over my town. We had to leave. It is too dangerous. I can never go back. And I hope he never does."
Beautiful, Lee. Thank you so much. I love those voices in this room from your class. Gorgeous. Thank you. And now we are going to Peter Welch.
Thank you, Suze.
Hi, Peter.
Hi. My piece is entitled From Boyhood to Becoming a Man, a few of my lessons in feminism. I live and grow up in a small coastal Maine town during the 1960s and 70s, Moody. We are a working class family. A mother who carries the burden of breadwinner, a father whose own tender heart flees with the drink, a dear twin brother and older sister, and grandmother who manages the household as well as providing more than her share of emotional comforting to me and my siblings. My mother is the only mom on our street who works full-time outside the home, and along with a mighty grandmother are my first lessons in feminism. Women are capable, resilient, and hardworking. Inklings of feminism find me in my late teens. I proudly wear a t-shirt that reads, "A man of quality is not threatened by a woman for equality." This is one slogan of many during the 1970s, where women's wages are 62% of what men earn for performing the same work. The phrase becomes a living, breathing mantra as I come to understand my own feminist beliefs and the strangling grip of the patriarchy. In a casual conversation, my friend Lisa tells me that she won't take her husband's name because this is not who she is. Lisa is in the room, by the way. After this declaration, I see Lisa and other women in a new light. She teaches me my next feminist lesson, that of personal agency. We are who we are. I am who I am. In college, I inch my way out of the closet and meet other LGBTQ plus students who are impassioned about ideas I too care about. I attend my first organized protest encircling the Feminist Health Center in Portsmouth, New Hampshire, with dozens of other peacekeepers. I'm anxious and energized, wide-eyed and hopeful, locking arms as we embody resistance, stretching across around the building, encircling the lives of those who exercised their right to comprehensive health care that day. This experience is my next lesson in feminism. Collective action and solidarity are essential in creating community change. The AIDS pandemic consumes much of my 20s, and by the time I'm 30, I witness an avalanche of sickness and death, an incalculable loss of human potential and what might have been for many of my peers and those who love them, brothers gone forever. Beside my grief, homophobia expresses a long, hideous shadow among politicians and religious leaders, and even some in the mass media. Silence equals death becomes a battle cry among us. I also come to understand my next lesson in feminism. The personal is political. That any of us survive this disquieting time is nothing short of a miracle. Over the next 25 years, I work in college health, where I embrace the feminist idea that knowledge is power. I read everything I can get my hands on and reach out to colleagues, cross-pollinating experiences where I learn and flourish. These discoveries expand my life and teach me my next lesson in feminism, self-efficacy. We become one with what we behold. I also study men's health. It's here where my boyhood upbringing comes into focus, and I better understand the grueling environments in which boys are often raised. Like my own boyhood, many boys struggle to find their emotional footing in a culture which teaches us to man up, don't cry or share your feelings except for anger, of course, or be vulnerable in any way. These toxic ideas lead to psychic atrophy for many boys and men. We become immobilized by what we feel. There's even a clinical name for it, alexithymia. And if we violate these rigid gender expectations, we are seen as weak. And we're bullied, like I sometimes was, by other boys who shame boys like me when we don't fit their expectations of what it means to be a real boy. The clincher, don't act like a girl. Words hurled at boys who appear soft, as if there is something wrong with being a girl. This offensive growl of the patriarchy is my next lesson in feminism, the intersection of misogyny and homophobia. As writers, we understand that words create worlds. Words have the power to bring us down or lift us up. At their best moments, words inspire, ignite, celebrate, and form. Sometimes we even reclaim words that once caused us harm. Queer. My next and most important lesson in feminism, learning the word phylogeny. Philogny, the fondness, love, or admiration towards women. That many of us have never heard this lovely word uttered speaks to the deep impact of patriarchy. We cannot be what we cannot see or hear. My eyes and ears and heart are now wide open. I am a feminist.
Glorious. You are a feminist. Oh, thank you, Peter. Oh, great. Up next is Hank Greenspan. Hello.
Hello. So I'm going to do like the last 4 minutes of what's a 17-minute piece. I hope it'll still make sense. The title of the piece is The Guy and colon, a political allegory. This you don't know at the beginning of the piece, but the guy turns out to be the guy, this is why it's an allegory, that Trump shot on Fifth Avenue. The audience doesn't know that until we're a little ways into the piece, but that's the narrator, and his name is Joey. He's Joey from the Bronx, you know. He's Joey from the Bronx, and where we pick up the story of Joey from the Bronx is quite a ways down the road, actually, from that. But he's back on Fifth Avenue. He used to work at the Central Park Zoo, you know, and he's back on Fifth Avenue. And people know he's the guy. He doesn't really want to be the guy, but people know he's the guy. So people relate to him as that. And he's going by a demonstration in front of Trump Tower, and they recognize him. And they say, "Come on, say a few words." He said, "No, I'm not political. I'm for the Yankees, but I'm not political, you know." But they say, "Come on, a few words, How you doing?" And so on. So eventually he gets up and he says a few words. He talks about his beloved niece who was laid off because she's a federal worker. She's a nurse at the VA. And then we pick up when he's talking about one of his former colleagues, his friend who also worked at the zoo. I also talked about my friend Jonas, who works at the zoo. He told us that's a Spanish name for Jonah. So we all called him, what, whale bait, you know? Great guy. He's from Venezuela, like Miguel Cabrera and a lot of the best baseball players. Dominican Republic, Puerto Rico were first for ball players, and then Venezuela. But he's an American, you know, American citizen, born in this country. And one day, he didn't come to work. He's just gone. Just gone. I mean, nobody knows. Nobody thinks he's in the whale, you know? I finished up. So I told you a couple of stories. Now I got to get home. How about you? How you doing? Someone shouts from the crowd. Yeah, I'm okay. I'm okay. I know where I am. I'm okay. Crowds like this, I don't do this. Just being here, it scares me a little, you know? And a guy on a platform gives me a kind of hug, and he said, "Thank you. I'll help you get home." And I said, no, I'm fine. I'll be fine. I know where I am. I'll be okay. Everyone there was nice. Everyone wanted to help me. I saw a few of them had tears in their eyes when I was talking about my niece and Jonas. Even some of the guys. One guy said, "I'd like to take you out for a beer." I just said, "Thank you." I still talk with Gina, my wife, all the time. I mean, I know she's gone, but I talk with her. And I imagine what she'd say. In that way, she's still with me. I wanted to get home to tell her some of what happened. We have two chairs. We call them Lazy Boy and Lazy Girl. Big reclining chairs just for us to have a campari at the end of the day or watch TV. She even watched a little of the Yankees with me. And when they're losing, I still say, "Gina, come here. They need you for luck." And sometimes she did. And it worked. She knows. I imagine she knows. It's hard for me to be alone. I tell her about the family and the monkeys, mostly happy things. She knows I was shot on Fifth Avenue, but I try to keep it light, even when it isn't. I guess I figure wherever she is, she knows. Maybe it doesn't matter. I mean, I'm thinking in heaven, most people have bigger things to think about, or they're not thinking much at all. You know, they're just kind of floating, which is kind of the same thing. Sometimes I sing to her. We loved Simon and Garfunkel. She always said I have a lousy voice, which I do. But I figure if I sing softly, it won't be as bad. And sometimes I just have to. After all that's going on, what I'm seeing, what I'm knowing. Gina, I'm lost, I said, though I know she was sleeping. I'm empty and aching. I think I know why. Counting the cars on the New Jersey Turnpike. We've all come to look for America. All come to look for America. Then I went into a bathroom. So in my head, Gina wouldn't hear me. I looked in the mirror and I said quietly, just to myself in the mirror, I said, I think we're at war.
Beautiful,
Damn.
Hank. Wow. That's a great concept. Also beautiful.
I want to hear the whole thing, really.
I know.
Really.
Thank you.
Wow.
And now our final reader has a beautiful poem for us, Krista Camenlow.
Thanks, Zeus.
Mm.
Okay. My poem is called No Joke. I'm struggling to navigate the murky waters of this situation. I might drown or hit the bottom of the dirt plume of deceit. I question the fury of words spoken from microphones and podiums. I long to return to a time filled with optimism and the progress of past lessons learned. I stumble to put the pieces together amidst the chaos, the tyrant raids, exaggerated martyrs, and tarnished promises. Fragile parts of me wither in the cold calculations of a season dominated by ruthless individuals. Confused and overwhelmed, I grapple with disbelief in the distorted pride and the incessant chatter of discontent and hate. The so-called national pride looks like blood to me. I want to cleanse it and make it pink because it smells putrid. I absorb the pain presented in snapshots of others, cancellations, deaths, and deportations. Helpless, I powder my face, put on lipstick, and smile, while anxiety attacks me before I close my eyes to sleep. Their God won't take me in their rapture. I'm too woke. I see through their blurry veil of lies, colors, love thy neighbor, peace on the other side. I pinch myself. These tricks are no joke. The punchline, its hand is around my throat.
Beautiful, Krista. Thank you. I'm just so thrilled to have your words in this space today. It was just beautiful. Thank you so much. Your words are power, beauty, love, light. I really appreciate each of you in this room. I wish you power and light, and keep your words strong. And remember that hope is a verb, it's an action, and that we go toward the light, toward the beauty, toward each other, and we buoy each other up. We spend vast amounts of time in nature, and we be who we are. We do not hide. We come together. And I love each and every one of you in this room, and I thank you so much for being here. Have a beautiful rest of your Sunday. Mwah.